I'm recording this in May of 2021, and right now, as I speak, there is a so called labor shortage. People are having a hard time hiring. And I was just watching a podcast, and this economist blamed it on the very generous unemployment benefits that we've been getting since the pandemic. And obviously, I've benefited from that as well. But I want to say that I've been using it to my benefit in a way that I wish more people would use the system. I'm an adjunct professor, and obviously, at the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of our students who are from out of the country had to stay back home in their home country. And I did some work at a tutoring center as well. Now, you gotta understand, in Washington state, I'm not sure how it works in other states, when you collect unemployment, every dollar you earn reduces your unemployment by 75 cents. I mean, it doesn't sound like all of it, but when you consider that you gotta commute to work, some people have childcare expenses, a lot of times you could lose money going to work if you're losing 75 cents out of every dollar. Didn't really apply to my situation because the tutoring work was now remote. I don't have children. And in fact, because it was remote, I could reduce my living expenses by living outside of the city. So it didn't really apply to me that much, but I can see where people are coming from. Now here's the thing. I was working for a tutoring center. One of the biggest frustrations with some of the tutoring centers that I've worked for, this is my third one, is that it's very hard to consolidate the students' schedules together. You have one guy who wants Friday afternoons, another one wants Sunday mornings, and then this guy switches around all the time. And you end up getting 7 or 8 hours that are scattered across the week, which means that, well, I guess it doesn't really apply when I'm working remotely, but when it was in person, you get 7 or 8 hours, you couldn't take another job, you couldn't ever go on vacation, and because they were scattered all across, you couldn't even take a weekend to go to Ellensburg from Seattle, right? And students are hard enough to come by. You wouldn't dare ask to challenge any of those schedules. Well, when I had the unemployment to fall back on, I started to challenge it a lot more. Back in September of 2020, when we went back to phase 2 for the first time of the COVID-19 lockdowns and we were allowed to work with the students in person, I finally stepped foot onto the tutoring center for the first time working there, and to my dismay, my manager uses a ton of air fresheners to the point that I got a major headache. I was only there for 2 hours that first day, and I got a major headache. And because I knew I had unemployment to fall back on if my manager wasn't going to accommodate that situation, I spoke up. And what was really nice was that I had been working with him for 6 months at that point, and he really liked my work. You know, had I been applying for the job and I ran into the air freshener problem, that would have been a bigger problem, right? I liked how I worked for him remotely for 6 months before I ran into it. But had I not had unemployment to fall back on, I might have put up with it, I might have gotten sick, and then probably would have lost my job anyway after getting very ill from that, right? And not being able to concentrate because of getting migraines, right? And so here's the thing. Yes, I probably lost money working there when you consider how much it docked from my unemployment, but now that the pandemic is at its tail end and I'm still working there, I'm getting more hours there and hopefully returning in person, I don't mind it. I think the soft skills that I gained were much more valuable than 75% of the pay, right? I feel sorry for people who are staying home just so they could be lazy and miss out on all these connections, right? Your connections are going to be much more valuable than whatever unemployment you're scheming out of the system.